What's up, LTD addicts? It's here. AppSumo's Black Friday deals are upon us. They are available for us all to buy right now, whether you have AppSumo Plus or not. And in this video, I'm going to break down each deal. We'll go through it one by one. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's Dave Swift here. I'm super pumped to tell you what's going on in the AppSumo universe. Let's dig right into it. I've got this article up over on the thatltd.life website, breaking down all of the deals in extreme detail, give you all my thoughts on each product and what I think is a good investment. So go there and check that out if this video doesn't fill your need for AppSumo details. But let's get right into it because there is big news, and that is that AppSumo did in fact drop a surprise 11th deal. And it is live webinar. No one saw that one coming. And obviously that is big news because webinars are huge in the LTD community right now. Everybody's talking about Big Marker. I either bought Big Marker and I'm considering returning it. Is it a good investment or should I get live webinar instead? I'm debating between the platforms. Now this is only good news for us LTD addicts because now we have more choices. The deals will continue to get better. But there is that problem in that everybody has this case of FOMO. They want to get a webinar platform, and I'm going to help you decide which one I think is best in this video. Obviously, you'll have to fit your use case, so it's not going to be universal. But first, I'm going to challenge your worldview, and here, let's get right into it. I'm going to show you a guy by the name of Isaac Rudanky. Now, you may have heard of Isaac Rudanky before because he is one of the most successful online educators I think of all time. He's got over 150,000 people in his online courses, and that has to be close to some kind of record. I don't have stats on that, but Isaac is a fantastic teacher. He teaches paid traffic, Google traffic, conversion rate optimization, all of that stuff. I've learned a lot from Isaac over the years, so I'm happy to promote his stuff a little bit. In fact, I had a video on his agency Overdrive membership. I'll link to that down below, and you can check that out. But that's not what this video is about. We're talking about webinars. So let me tell you what Isaac did. He's got this Medium post over here. In fact, he, you can see this is entry 91 in a series. So he was quite vocal about his process to try to start selling higher ticket items via webinar. Basically, if you're not familiar with what a webinar is typically used for, they're used as a sales mechanism. If you're trying to sell something that's expensive, the typical flow, the funnel that you would send people to is you'd get them to sign up for a webinar. They would show up, you would help them solve part of their problem in the webinar, and then for them to get the full experience of having their issue resolved, you would sell them your full solution. So whether it's a course, a product, a service, or whatever it is that's going to take the pain away from your customer. That's the general TLDR on how to use webinars to actually make money. So Isaac set out to sell some of his higher priced courses via webinar, and he documented it all in his Medium post. Now let's get to this because remember, Isaac is not only an instructor, he is kind of the man when it comes to paid traffic. He manages his agency, manages accounts for companies like AMC, Forbes. I'm talking like 7-8 figure companies doing huge, massive $1 million ad spends a month. These are big dogs. And so Isaac is no stranger to spending money on ads, which you will see in a second here. I got to give him credit. This is, incredibly transparent for someone to post their results like this online. So here is Isaac's results from back in April when he was trying to dial in his webinar sales funnel. You can see over here, he spent on this first webinar alone, he spent $5,460 on advertisements. And from that, he ended up getting 137 people to register. Now, when he ran the live webinar, he actually had 13 people show up. Now, Isaac is a very good salesperson, and he's credible. He's good at what he does, and I think that's part of being a good salesperson. People will trust him because he actually can help them. So he was able to turn a really good conversion rate on that first webinar. He got 54% of the room to actually make a sizable investment, which is pretty impressive, and he ended up generating $2,400 in revenue there. Now, he spent $5,400 on marketing, so obviously this was still a net loss of over $3,000. So he didn't give up. Honestly, many of us don't have $5,000 to throw at paid traffic to invest in ourselves to see, what the turnout will be. But Isaac is a different, he's obviously in a different situation given his business nature. So you know what? He didn't quit here. He spent almost $12,000 of his own money. He says in the Medium post, he's very clear, this is my own money. I'm investing this in myself. $12,000 on marketing, and he got 200 people to register. Only 42 showed up, but that's a big improvement from the previous webinar, so that's something to be positive about. And so we got a 21% attendance rate, and the total sales ended up actually being less because fewer people in the room ended up converting. So we made just around $2,100 from this, losing $9,800 on that webinar. So if you don't get where I'm going with this, my point is that not every business is right for webinars. So for you to rush into spending thousands of dollars on a webinar platform and you've never run a webinar before, I want you to just take a breath, really reconsider whether this is something that you need. And here is why. The software is such a small part of the cost of running a profitable webinar. Butts in seats, that is what costs money. And then once you get people there, you have to be certain that your solution is actually going to solve their problems. You'll be able to convince them that your solution will solve their problems, and they'll want to give you a decent chunk of money, right? You can't run a webinar for a $40 product. It's just not, the marketing costs will not add up. So you have to have a high ticket item to run a webinar too. All right, so that, if you have other uses for webinars, like you want to run business meetings through them or something, that's a little unconventional. And so that's not really what I would expect people to use a webinar product for. If that's you, you have your own plan set out and you get it, that's fine. Now, I know some people out there are going to be like, okay, cool, but which one should I get, live webinar or big marker, right? Everything you said makes sense, but I'm still going to buy one. Which one should I get? So I'm going to give you this advice. I think that live webinar is the better platform for almost everybody. Here is some complaints that I've heard about live webinar. One is the recordings are low frame rate, and that is unfortunate. I disagree with everything they've said about how it doesn't really matter and that no one can notice. You definitely notice 12 frames per second is not great. So here's the workaround. You can stack 5 codes to get 30 frames per second. That's not really a workaround. That's just they want more of your money. Or the workaround is you can stack 3 codes, which allows you to do social media streaming. And in that case, you'll be able to sync out to a YouTube account where you don't have to publicize the YouTube video, but it will make a recording for you on YouTube, and you'll be able to download that and have it to display at a later time. So there's a little bit of a hack, a little bit of a workaround. If you don't want to stack the additional 5 codes, you can just go with 3 codes and you'll be good to go. Now, I think in every other way, live webinar is probably the better platform here. I've heard many reliability issues from people that I trust to say that Big Marker has given them issues. Now, if you hear from other people, the defenders of Big Marker, they will say, well, it's their bandwidth issue. And you know what? They're probably right in some cases that you need a lot of bandwidth to stream live video. That's just the truth. We've all seen Facebook Lives where it's cutting in and out, or, live video is still in its infancy and it's going to get better. But right now, I've heard too many bad stories about Big Marker that I would recommend people shelling out that much cash to purchase a lifetime deal on it. So that's my point of view. If you've already got Big Marker, I don't look down upon you. I hope you enjoy the platform, and I hope it's very successful for you. If you are considering live webinar, I want you to think about whether or not a webinar is actually going to be a profitable platform for your business, for what you're trying to sell. And if it is, go ahead, stack to the moon. I think it's a really great platform. The other quirk that you could complain about is it's not the prettiest UI. It's not the slickest UI. It looks like it was really designed by the developers, and they just need an artist or a designer to kind of come in there and make things a little bit more clear and a little bit more functional. But beyond that, it works really well, and all reports that live webinar, has a good future ahead of it in terms of without getting into too much technical stuff here. Live webinar works more on a peer-to-peer. It uses WebRTC technology so that it doesn't have a cloud server, a huge expense built into it. And that part does kind of concern me about Big Marker, is that it is based a bit on having a large bandwidth bill for Big Marker. So the sustainability of it, that'll raise some questions. So without further addressing live webinar, let's get into the rest of the AppSumo deals here, because I want to say something about each one of them. We'll head over to this Black Friday page over on that LTD.life. Now, I've been updating this with all of my thoughts on the deals as they roll out. We've already covered the first 5 deals. So if you missed that, check video 1 for the AppSumo deals. Let's talk about Continually. So Continually is a chatbot app. Now, I've said in the past, I've never once visited a website and said, Oh, good, a chatbot. They just don't excite me that much. However, they do work. I have to admit it that chatbots, they increase conversion rates. When people go to a website and there's nothing there, they leave. When there's a chatbot, they might leave their email address and get contacted again in the future. So if you're trying to generate leads from your business, from your website, and you don't have any type of widget in the corner that people intuitively know to go and engage with, to give their email address to you, you're probably missing out on some leads. So is Continually the chatbot for you? Well, that depends. Do you have any other chatbots? Are you a collector at this point? Admit it. Do you have CurioBot and ActiveBot and ChatBot and all the chatbots that have ever been on LTD? If you do, keep going. You don't need Continually. You don't get any prizes for collecting all the LTDs. So if you don't have any chatbots at all, here is the reasons you'd want to buy Continually. It is really set up to be a great performer for local businesses or businesses that do a lot of B2B lead generation. That's what all the widgets inside of it are built out to do. The UI is clean and beautiful and will fit with a modern business website. So that's how I'd recommend Continually. If you're looking for a very advanced chatbot builder for e-com or something like that, it is not Continually. It's definitely a simple, easy to use chatbot for local businesses doing lead gen or any sort of booking type of situation, because it has calendar integrations and all that. All right, so let's talk about HelpShelf. HelpShelf is one of those deals that's been on AppSumo a few times now. In fact, it's come back for those return deals that AppSumo will do. Last call, they call them, for the Plus members. I almost call it AppSumo Prime members. So here is the deal with HelpShelf. I think people hear the word help and they think, I need some kind of support system. HelpShelf sounds great. Let me get that. Or what does it do? They get very confused. I've got a quick 2-step process for deciding whether HelpShelf is a helpful tool for you. First, we're going to go over here to the integrations page. Now, I got this linked up on the website, so you can just head over there, click that link, and then you're going to look at these integrations. They got 4 tabs up here. We've got Help Desk, Content, Roadmap, and then Scheduling is coming soon. And you're going to look at their integrations, and you're going to see if you're using any of the platforms they integrate with. And if you are, then you can proceed to step 2. If you're not, move along to the next deal. So you're going to see a lot of LTDs on this list because they know that what audience they're serving. We got CurioBot, Gist, which used to be ConvertFox. There's, Live Agent. So a bunch of deals that we've seen on AppSumo in the past. Now, what this does is it takes all of those tools. If you're using multiple tools, it combines it and it sticks it in the lower right-hand corner. And that's what this is right over here. This is HelpShelf. You click on that, and you can have your roadmap in the corner. You can have a link to contact you, search your resources, everything all in one spot. That's what HelpShelf does. So 2-step process. Do you use the apps it integrates with? And do you want a little widget in the corner that links them all together? If yes is the answer to both of those questions, HelpShelf is for you. If not, move it along. Next deal. Let's talk about the next offer, which is going to be Quuu. All right, so I'm going to pull this open over on AppSumo. Quuu. So this is a article gathering tool, essentially. It's going to help you find articles that you can post on social media. I liken it to Content Studio. And when Content Studio first came out, that was one of its primary selling points was you can type in a topic and we'll generate articles for you that you can then use to post on social media. And of course, Content Studio also has a social media scheduler built in. Quuu does not. So Quuu only finds the articles for you, and then it integrates with other social media marketing platforms. You're going to see the big ones like Hootsuite and Buffer, but it also works with SocialBee, which will be interesting to a lot of people who watch this channel. So Quuu finds the articles, schedule them to be posted on SocialBee, and then everything kind of becomes automated for you, so you don't need to put a whole lot of thought into your social media. That on its own, pretty cool, but here is the extra kind of killer feature which could push you over the edge to purchase. Quuu has a feature called pods. Now, the way that pods work is, let's say you have a team. I'm going to use the example of real estate team. So let's say you have 7 or 8 different real estate agents all working together as part of a team. You could put them all in a pod, and you could have one person designated to sifting through the articles that Quuu recommends and then stick them in the pod. What happens then is that article can be easily pushed out to everyone on the pod or everyone in the team. So if you have some agents that don't really like doing social media, but others that absolutely love it, they'll have a constant stream of stuff that comes out, and it's easy for everybody to blast out the same information, give that a boost to the algorithm. They'll start sharing it more, and you can get your content spread out quickly across the internet. So that is how Quuu works. $39 gets you one code. There is a stacking option. Basically what you're looking at here is how many social profiles you can link up to. 10 up to 100 for a second code, and then 6 pods up to unlimited pods for the second code. So take a look at Quuu if it's interesting to you. You've always got the return policy on AppSumo. So for me on this deal, it's really going to depend on how it does at generating content for your industry. So there's really no way to know that without trying it out. So take AppSumo up on their return policy there. All right, next deal is Find That Lead. Now, Find That Lead is no stranger to AppSumo. You might already have this one if you are a longtime AppSumo person. So here's what Find That Lead does. You type in a domain, it gives you a list of the email addresses that it thinks might be on that domain. Is it 100% accurate? Nope. Does it work every time? Nope. But does it work sometimes? Yes. So in my opinion, if you've got one good lead from Find That Lead, it pays for itself. You know, if you close one deal from a lead that you get on Find That Lead, it's probably going to be a 10 to 100x return on investment right there. So Find That Lead, kind of a no-brainer if you do B2B outreach. If you can't tell, I think this second wave of deals way better than the first for most people, especially if you don't have these already. It's just another chance to get deals that you may have missed. Maybe you found out about AppSumo and then you heard about these deals that existed before and you want to get them. Well, now is your chance. All right, we only have one deal left to talk about, and it is Clinked. Clinked is a client portal. So what a client portal does for you is it knocks out all of those annoying emails. So, hey, could you send me a link to that document again? I just sent it to you last week. Yeah, I know, but I lost it. Send it again. All right, so if you've done any sort of client work, you've certainly come across a client that does that sort of thing all the time. So if you have your own client portal, you can put all of your documents, everything that you need for that client all in one place. And if they ask you questions over and over again, you just say, hey, go to the client portal, go to the client portal. And you don't have to continue to find links and send them to them. So that is one of the benefits, obviously, of a client portal is not only makes you look more professional, but it just organizes everything, makes communication easier. So Clinked is a client portal that lives on the cloud, essentially, right? It is a managed software as a solution. There have been other deals on AppSumo that were WordPress based. I tend to favor those just because I like to have control over the server. However, Clinked has gotten very, very favorable reviews. The two things that people don't like about Clinked is the storage capacity that they provide for you. Regardless, I'll go down to the plans here. Regardless of how many codes you stacked, and this isn't super cheap, right? We're talking about $100 a code. You're going to get 50 gigabytes of storage. You can see that does not scale with each code. It's always 50 gigabytes of storage. If you go over that 50 gigs, it's going to be an additional $10 per month for each 50 gigs that you want. Now, the Sumolings feel like this is highway robbery because we are used to Dropbox and pCloud and other services like Google Drive that give you a terabyte of data for $1 a month or something ridiculous, $7, $8 a month. You get a whole terabyte. So 50 gigs feels awful stingy, but let me think about this from the point of view of the provider here. So if you're using more than 50 gigs of storage on your client portal, you're probably a pretty heavy user. So that might be a signal to Clinked that they need to get a little bit more money out of you for this product to be sustainable. In addition, they're probably not running the type of infrastructure that Google or Dropbox are to be able to provide massive amounts of storage available to you for the same rates. So are they making a profit on the $10 per month for 50 gigs? Almost certainly. But is that a bad thing? Probably not. And, if you're using the platform that much, you should just kind of consider it a tip. Like, you're obviously generating enough business that you need to be sharing gigs worth of files with multiple clients at the same time. So the only thing you're going to get here, I'll wrap this one up. The only thing you're going to get with additional codes is how many members can be on the site at once. So 30, 60, and 90. All right. So that's it. We made it. There is only 8 hours and 30 minutes left as of the recording of this video to grab these codes. Now, I do believe that you might have a chance to grab them a little bit later if you are a Plus or a Briefcase member. So I'm not sure about that, but there's some rumors that I've heard. So definitely grab them now just in case that doesn't work out. I don't want anyone to come back like, hey, you said it was coming back. I don't know, but that's what I thought I'd read somewhere and now I can't find it. So just grab the deals before they expire. Leave me a comment down below. And hey, let me plug this one more time. Head over to the Facebook group and sign up. As of the last video I made, we had under 700 subscribers. subscribers or members, and now we've got 723. Let's see if we can get this thing to 1,000 by the end of Cyber Monday week. What do you say? Go join us. Let's discuss software tools with lifetime offers. I'll see you over in the Facebook group, and I'll see you in the next review.